Hello students, today I am going to start the first chapter of economics, the story of village Palampur. This is of class ninth. Here in this chapter I am going to tell you the story about the Palampur. Palampur as an imaginary village, and this belonged to UP West. Here in this chapter you have been told that Palampur, though a small village, but is still developed and is having more developments as compared to the neighboring villages and towns. So it is well connected village. 3 kilometers away from it, two villages more, Raiganj, and one more is Shahpur. Shahpur is a town. Shahpur is the town area, right? And in this village so many facilities are there, like I'm talking about the transportations. Road transport is better here, and then I'm talking about the residents here. 450 families are living here. Out of this 450 families, like Dalits are also there. Their occupation is one third of the population. One third, around 150 families of Dalits are here. Most of the houses have here, electric connections, and these electric connections help them to do all their economic activities in a better way. Apart from the electric connections, primary health center is also there, private dispensary is also there, and you can see that farm activities and small manufacturing, transportation, shopkeeping, these all are the economic activities which are practiced in this village Palampur. Students, we must know that primary activities like cultivation only gives a seasonal income, while in the Palampur people perform their apart from primary, secondary and tertiary activities that help them to regulate their income. Now my dear students, I am going to tell you what are the factors which are responsible for the any kind of productivity. This is the land, number one, which is a natural resource. Apart from land, water is also there, and forest and other minerals are also there. Labor, the manpower is called labor. It is of two type, skilled and unskilled, right? After labors there is a physical capital. Physical capital is defined in two ways, that is fixed capital and the working capital. Fixed capital, such as you can see here, fixed capital, tools, machines, buildings, right? And the working capital, such as raw materials and money. And in any kind of production or any kind of business, we need both type of capitals. Then my dear students, I would like to tell you, every production is organized by combining land, labor, physical capital, human capital, and these all are known as together factors of production. If somebody asks you what are factors of production, then you will be telling it is factors of production. Now, land area is fixed. Our land area 3.28 million square kilometer is fixed, and on this land we have to perform all kinds of activities. We have to settle residents also, we have to settle infrastructure also, we have to lay roadways and railways also, we have to set up factories and offices also, we have to set many more things, and cultivations and houses, building houses, and that farming and all that. Forest area has to be also covered on land. So the land is limited, it does not expands. So on this land area, whatever is available for the cultivation, we have to use it in a proper manner so that we can grow for the growing demands of the growing population. And cultivation is particularly fixed in Palampur, but how they are raising their, on enhancing their productivity. So I tell you, they are bringing the fallow land under the cultivation. Fallow land means the land which is not cultivated for a long time. That has been brought under the cultivation, and hence they are increasing the cultivation. Now I am talking about in this box standard units for the measuring land, that is hectare, but in villages they use bigha, guinta, etc. 1 hectare equals to the area of a square with one side measuring 100 meters. This you remember that what is the measuring units of the land. Okay. Now I am going to talk about that is there is there a way one can grow more from same land? Yes. About everybody I cannot say, but in the Palampur as it is given, they are doing so. During the rainy season, which crop is grown? Kharif, this you remember. They grow jowar and bajra, apart from paddy, that is called rice crop, and these plants are used as a cattle feed also. These are called fodders, and it is followed by the cultivation of potato, that is a third crop which is grown in the month of October and December. And in the winter season, Rabi, apart from wheat, they grow these potatoes also. Now see, a part of the land area is also devoted to the sugarcane, which is harvested in once in a year. So how much time is taken by the sugarcane, that you have to reply, that is 1 year. Now electricity came early to the Palampur, and that made a major impact to transform the system of irrigation also. Persian wheels were also there. Before that electricity came, farmers used to draw the water from the wells and irrigate small fields. People saw that electricity run tube wells could also irrigate. So these all are the irrigation facilities available in that village Palampur, which helped them to grow more than the expectations. Right? Now all villages in India have such high levels of irrigation? Do not have. Only Palampur had. So in this lesson it shows that only primary activities, if supported by all electricity, irrigation and other facilities and other factors, then economic condition of a country can grow. Right? Plateau regions such as Deccan plateaus, they have a low level of irrigation. That is why the cultivation activities are less or rare there. Now, to grow more than one crop on a piece of land, the crop rotation is also crop rotation, or you can say the multiple cropping is also done. Two main crops mainly grown in this season are wheat and rice, jowar and bajra, but third one is called potato, and this is they are practicing past 15 to 20 years. This is the cultivated area, millions hectare it is given here, you can check it here, and please read these sources in your book, which is very helpful. You can see this yield is measured as a crop produced on a given piece of land during a single season. Right? The green revolution we have talked about, this came in late 1960s, and Indian farmers began to use HYV seeds as compared to traditional seeds. Now what is the difference between traditional and modern farming? The traditional seeds do not produce more as compared to the HY seeds. HYV seeds needed plenty of water and also chemical fertilizer, that combinedly known as green revolution. which undoubtedly yielded more than the traditional farming, but it has some negative aspect also, like land degradation, unfertility of the land. These are the main causes which take places. The yield of wheat grown from traditional varieties was 1300 kg, and by HYV seeds you can see, with the HYV seeds you can see 3200 kg per hectare. So there is a double triple difference at least. So that is why Palampur began to produce with the help of green revolutions, right? Now, will the land sustain? So of course, land is very natural resource, but it is limited to. We have to use it in a sustainable manner. In many areas, green revolution is associated with the loss of soil fertility. This is the negative impact of the green revolution. This you remember. And it happened due to the increased use of chemical fertilizer. We should limit it. Environmental resources like soil fertility and groundwater are built up over the years. So that is why we need to use land resources and other chemical resources or other facilities of modern technology up to the extent, in a limited extent. Okay. This is the impact of chemical fertilizers given here, right? As you read in your book properly, you will come to know that the consumption of chemical fertilizer in Punjab is the highest, and even there is over irrigation activities, and that is why the land degradation and unfertility of the land process is maximum in Punjab, right? Land distribution between the farmers in the Palampur, it is given here, that is total 450 families are there. Out of them, 150 families have no land. They are landless. And the remaining families, they have land. 240 families cultivated small plots. It is less than 2 hectares, right? And if you see that 60 families of medium and large farmers who cultivate more than 2 hectares of land. Only few of them have the large farmers, and they extend over 10 hectares to more. This is the land distribution. You can read it, right? Now you can see who will provide the labor. So obviously you can say those farmers or peasants who have no land, they will provide the labor for farming themselves. Medium and large farmers hire farm labor to the work on their field. Farm laborers come either from the landless families or families cultivation small plots of land. They are working as a labor. Farm laborers do not have right over the crops grown on the land. They are paid wages by the big farmers, right? And that is either in the cash or in the kind of crops. They can both. They can get the wages in both the form, or in the cash or in the crop. And the wages are widely vary from region to region, crop to crop, and even from activity one to another, right? Like sowing and harvesting time. At the sowing time they will get cash, and the harvesting time they can get crop. So this is the wages facility in the village Palampur. You can see the minimum wages for a farm labor set up by the government. Now this has been changed. 300 has been changed, because it was in 2017. Now this is 2020. So it may have increased. 300 and 160 right? So it has been changed. You can find out yourself that what is the wages rate nowadays. Most small farmers have to borrow money to arrange for capital, and they borrow from the large farmers or the money lenders, and in case if they fail to pay the loan, and they again reborrow the loan, and due to the very high rate of interest, slowly they convert into a debt trap. Okay, and they have to do begars also. What is the begar? Begar means when the farmers work but they do not get payment for that work. That kind of work is called begar. So they are forced labor. They become forced labor due to the debt trap, and they have to do it. You can read the story of Savita in this lesson, and finally you can conclude that how tough conditions are faced by the landless farmers, especially those who got caught in debt trap. Okay, so this is all about I would like to tell you in this chapter. Dairy farming is the other activities that is done in their area. People feed their buffaloes on the various kinds of grass, and the jowar and bajra as a fodder crop also grown in the rainy season. And then the produced milk and dairy products are sold to the Raiganj and Sahpur, their town, and through this they earn money from the cities and neighboring villages. Okay.